Hey everybody, I'm Ted Rockwell from CU Boulder's Division of Continuing Education, and we're having a conversation today with a student about how to switch majors and how to balance work and life with academic pursuits and goals. If you've ever had wonder about that, if you've ever been curious about how that might work, well, this is going to be a good conversation for you to tune into. So I'd like to introduce to you Geordi Frankel, an undergraduate from CU Boulder. Geordi, maybe you could help us get started by letting us know who you are, how you got to CU.
Sure. Again, as Ted said, my name is Geordi Frankel. I am a senior here studying English with an emphasis in literature, a minor in Spanish, and I'm also pursuing a licensure in elementary education. And I'm from Atlanta, so coming to CU was not exactly what was in my backyard. I actually went on a 36-day social and political activism trip across the country between my sophomore and junior years of high school. And over the course of that trip, we stopped in many different places across the country, one of those being Boulder. And I immediately fell in love, and I called my mom and I said, "Mom, I want to go to school in Colorado." And she said, "That's a joke. Let's be serious." And I said, "No, Mom, I am serious. I'm going to apply. And if I get in, can we please tour?" And she said, "Sure, whatever." Fast forward to my senior year, we went on college tours everywhere, and I cried hysterically. I had no desire to go to college at all whatsoever. I had no idea what I wanted to study. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I was very insistent on gap year. And my mom told me that was impossible, that she knew me, and that if I didn't go to college now, I probably wouldn't go. So I continued to apply for colleges, and I followed what she said to do. My mom's advice is always great. And fast forward to December, I got into CU, and I happy cried across my house. My sister has a video of me literally shrieking because I was so excited. And my mom looked at me and she said, "Did you act like this when you got into, say, the University of Georgia?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I don't want to go there."
So what was it about Boulder that was exciting to you? Why did you?
I don't know. It felt right. There's this indescribable feeling of I belong here, and that's exactly how I felt when I walked on the campus for my campus tour and the very first time I was in Boulder. And my mom said that she saw that look in my eye when we were here. It was the only campus tour I didn't cry on. Even in February, being unfamiliar with how to navigate snow and only wearing chacos with wool socks as my snow gear. But even still, it felt right, and my mom knew that this was the place for me.
How many schools did you apply to, and how many did you get into?
I applied to 6, and I got into 4.
Okay. And so you really did have a choice there, but it feels like what you're describing is that it felt like the natural choice.
Absolutely.
Okay. So once you ended up on campus and you declared a major, what major did you declare?
I applied under the psychology major, and I took AP Psych in high school, and I absolutely loved it, so I thought that would be a great fit for me.
And so you're working your way through your psychology coursework, and why don't you describe for us what that felt like and what you had going on as you started developing as a psych major?
Sure. I took, I want to say 4 psych classes total, and I loved my first 3, and then my 4th one was psychological statistics. And I have always thought of myself as a weak math student. So I struggled very greatly in this course. I took AP Stats in high school as well, and I did not do very well. And my professor, I felt like he was more just bragging about his research rather than teaching the subject. So I had a very hard time understanding what was going on in the course, and I was frustrated. So I felt like it was the best decision for me to switch majors.
So what did that look like? How did you approach that? Initially, you're feeling awkward about, well, I've declared this major, it's not a right fit.
Sure.
What action did you take? What did you do next?
Well, at that point in time, I also realized I wanted to declare the elementary ed licensure. So that's equivalent to a second major, but not a major because there was no education major at that time. So I applied to that program, and psych was one of the majors that paired with it, but so was English. And talking to my friends who have parents who are teachers, they said that studying English is what they did, and that it was a great natural path to becoming an elementary ed teacher. So I scheduled an appointment with my advisor, and I said I'd like to switch majors. And she said, "Great, what do you want to switch to?" And I told her I want to switch to English. And she said, "Fantastic, sign this paper." It was the easiest process I could have ever imagined. It made my switching of majors seem and feel so much easier. easier than I anticipated. I was very worried that my whole college career would start over and I wouldn't be able to graduate in 4 years, but it was just a quick switch and all my psych credits went towards elective credits. And so now I just get to study English.
So it was helpful to talk to an advisor who could help you kind of bridge.
Oh, absolutely. 1000%. I could have just done it online through the My CU Hub. I can just switch a button that says switch major, but I like to have a conversation with someone rather than just relying on the technology to take care of my problems, so to speak. So talking with my advisor is definitely very beneficial.
But in switching, you didn't really fall behind all that much.
Absolutely
but
not.
You're finding, what I'm gathering from you, you said even before you passed college, you were traveling the country doing a lot of other things. So you had other stuff that you wanted to be doing while you were pursuing your academic interests. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
I like to be busy. I like to do a million things at once. Growing up, I used to do musicals and I was in youth group and I did so many different extracurriculars. I like to have a busy schedule to keep me organized with my homework and my coursework so that I don't fall behind in that. I like to have a full plate, and I knew that college would be no different for me, especially being an out-of-state student, wanting to get involved so I could find a community here as well. So in coming to CU in my second semester, I joined the sorority and I joined the student ambassador organization, and I was on the board of the Hillel organization here on campus as well. And I was a birthright intern and I was teaching at Sunday school. So I was doing all these things while maintaining studies, and I was still making friends and having a social life and being successful at it all.
Yeah. So as you continued through your academic pursuits here at CU, have you been able to just use the main campus offerings to be able to stay on track? Or have you been looking for other ways to be able to do all of these activities while at the same time doing your studies?
Main campus was definitely not the only option for me. Through my English advisor, actually, I heard about the continuing ed program. She was advising me to take a writing course online while I was working at summer camp, so that I could still do what I loved and have the summer job I wanted to and not get behind in my studies, but still stay on track to graduate in 4 years. So continuing ed has really been beneficial for me in that I'm able to do exactly what I love doing, but still studying while I'm doing that.
Yeah, so we were talking before we got started with this live broadcast, and I learned that Geordi is a student ambassador here on campus. It's one of the other jobs that she has going on. What do you find is interesting about being here in the summer, while also, it sounds like you're taking a couple courses this summer as well?
Sure, I took 3 during summer session A, and I'm currently taking 1 during summer session B.
So how do you see summer fitting into this? You talked a little bit about online. How does summer fit into all of this?
As I just mentioned, I was a summer camp counselor last year. I've been going to summer camp since I was 8, so it's my favorite place in the world to be, and I wouldn't imagine spending my summers anywhere else except here I am this summer. But being able to be there and to still maintain my courses was very important to me so that, as my advisor said, I could graduate in 4 years. So last year I looked into continuing ed for the first time, and I took upper division writing through continuing ed online while I was at summer camp in North Carolina. So the beauty of continuing ed is that I can take a class anywhere. I can be remote, I can be in Boulder, I can be across the world, and the only thing that I'd have to do is make sure that I'm following up with my due dates that are posted on all the drop boxes and discussions and quizzes, and they're normally always in Colorado time, so it's easy to just convert back in my head, especially when I'm only 2 hours ahead. So that was beneficial. And then this summer, it's just interesting being on campus when there's a lot less people here. People aren't as crazy running to classes, the library is not as full, but there are people doing their online courses in the library, or there's people doing study groups in the library. So taking my tours through that, it's really cool for them to even get a glimpse into campus during what a regular semester might be like on a less crowded level, so they can still experience it for themselves.
When you do tours with people, do you ever run across individuals that remind you of yourself when you first came to campus?
Sure. I see people who are out of state all the time, and it's comforting for me to have out of state people in my groups so that I'm talking to people who know more than just Colorado, and they are wanting that relatability to my experience because I'm an out of stater as well. I see people who are excited, I see people who are driven, and it's so refreshing to see so many exciting faces coming through our campus and being ready to learn and wanting to commit here as well.
Yeah. So you're now a senior, so you're in your 4th year, going into your 4th year.
Yes, that's correct.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you have a full year ahead of you?
I do. Since I've started at CU, as I mentioned, I like having a full plate. I've taken upwards of 18 to 21 credits every semester, which is unheard of. If you're watching this, please don't ever do that to yourselves. This year, I decided to tone it back, which is why I took 4 classes this summer, so I can take 15 credits in the fall and have a more normal course schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you describe let's talk a little bit about you. You're a counselor at a summer camp, right?
Yes.
So can you tell me a little bit about that? What summer camp is that? Where is it?
It's Eagle's Nest Camp in Pisgah Forest, North Carolina. It's a very small camp. There's only 12 cabins, and I believe it's 15 to 16 campers in a cabin, so not too many campers there either.
Mm-hmm.
It's based on the principle of education. It was founded as an educational facility for psychology and education students to study experiential learning in children. So we have campers ranging in age from 5 to 15, and we offer courses in 3 main category subject areas. So we have wilderness-related courses, athletics, and then arts. And then there's bonus courses, which kind of combine all of them, and they're fun. But we offer anything from rock climbing, not on just a rock wall, but on all the beautiful mountains around that area in North Carolina, to stained glass and batik, which are fun and interesting art forms that you don't find in a regular setting, to cricket and rugby, because we have a plethora of international staff who come and bring their sports to us, and the kids love it. I remember taking Wide World of Sports as a kid, which was a different foreign sport every single day. So it was so cool to be able to dive into that and
Mm-hmm.
have all those different experiences.
So you mentioned that you've been doing that since you were about 8 years old.
Yeah.
So you were a camper for a while.
Absolutely.
How did you come to be a counselor there?
After my first year as a camper, I knew that I wanted to be a counselor. I thought it was the coolest job ever. I looked up to my counselors so much. They were so cool. They're so cool. So having them influence me and help me grow into the person that I am, I wanted to be able to give back and give that experience to campus as well. So I always knew that being a counselor was in my trajectory.
So it sounds like you're really interested in becoming an educational professional in education.
Absolutely.
How did you come to choose English as the major that would then influence that choice?
I love reading, and I'm a grammar nerd. My 8th grade English teacher, Miss Susan Fields, really drove home grammar into my head. She helped write the English portion of the SAT. So we would have SAT practice in 8th grade, and I thought it was so fascinating, and I loved analogies and metaphors and symbolism and being able to just dive into a book and make it my own story. So I thought studying English literature would give me exactly that. And I love writing as well, and I tried creative writing, but the creative writing track here I would have had to take workshops, which would have presented conflicts with my education practicum, so I dropped back to literature.
So it sounds to me, so when you described coming to CU, you described this, it felt natural, even though there was resistance maybe to the idea initially from your parents,
Right.
Your mother. It feels to me like you're describing the same kind of thing with your choice for English.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to talk to someone who is getting ready to switch a major, what kinds of things would you say to them to help them make that choice?
I would tell them, talk to your advisor. It's totally okay to switch majors. It's not abnormal to switch more than once even. There's definitely comfort in knowing that someone else has switched majors and has been in your shoes and has felt unsatisfied per se with the major that they have declared. So it's totally okay. Just talk to your resources. You're not in this alone, and figure out the best way to make that switch happen for you. For me, it was very easy because I maintained my status as an arts and sciences student, so I just switched within that college. but I have a friend in student ambassadors who applied to the College of Arts and Science or to environmental design and ended up switching to engineering as he applied. And he ended up really lucky as well. He met the engineering dean and made that switch immediately. So there's definitely resources to make switches within schools and from school to school. Just talk to your advisor and figure out the best way to do that for you.
So I mean, this is a live event, apparently. People are actually watching us. And I think we have a question from the Facebook Live situation coming from Jennifer Katz Frankel. I
That's
think she
my mom. I'm
So her question is, how was continuing ed able to help you keep on track?
And continuing ed has been a lifesaver for me. As studying education, one of my requirements is taking biology. Not just the sequence science as it is for arts and sciences, but biology specifically for elementary ed. Studying biology is intimidating at this university where so many people are interested in pre-med, and that's a very competitive program. So through my education advisor, Travis, I found out about anthropology biology. So he said it was a easier approach, not as medically driven as, say, evolutionary biology might be. So I signed up for that, and last fall when I was registering for classes, I was looking for anthropology biology, the first section, and I couldn't find one that worked out with my education classes on main campus. So I clicked the continuing ed button instead, and I found a night class, and I took anthropology biology every Thursday night from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with one of my favorite professors ever, Cherry Ethel Emerson. She was phenomenal, and she was so entertaining. There were only 9 of us in the class. I love having small class size and having the opportunity to know my professor one-on-one and have them recognize my face and know my name rather than a student ID. So being in that class was phenomenal and definitely helped me out. And then last semester, I actually took the second part of that class online. So being able to do that while I was taking 21 credits last semester. So in taking that, spending one full day a week at an elementary school, giving tours once a week, being in a sorority, joining an honor fraternity, continuing ed really helped me out there. And then in the summer as well, so that I could get ahead of my core credits and not just in my coursework, but the stuff that I needed as my general requirements. So that's what I've been doing this summer as well to help me stay on track.
So you've taken all sorts of continuing ed courses.
Yes.
So you've taken one evening course?
That's correct.
One and then 2 online courses, something like that?
At this point, I've taken 4 online classes through continuing ed.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
No, thank you all for the opportunity.
I think a lot of main campus students don't realize that continuing ed is an option, partly because they don't realize that have you ever spoken with a continuing ed advisor before?
No.
Yeah, you just worked through main campus
Right.
advising to do this, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have any advice for a main campus student who maybe they're not switching a major, but they are trying to balance doing all of these things with their academic goals?
Yeah.
What kinds of advice would you have for those students?
When my friends ask me what I do, I immediately tell them about continuing ed. A lot of people don't even realize it's an option, but when you're registering for classes, you can either click CU Boulder main campus or continuing ed. So I say try continuing ed, see if the class you're looking for is there, and it probably will be, which makes your life easy in the summer because you can go home and you can do exactly what you want to do while still being able to take your classes. So I've told my friends about that. I tell everyone on tours that it's an opportunity as well, so that they don't have to just sit in a regular classroom during the regular days if they want to have a job. One of the parents even asked me on my tour yesterday, they said, are there night class opportunities? And I got to brag about my anthropology biology class. So I definitely tell people to check out continuing ed because a lot of people don't realize it's here, but it's a fantastic option to be able to maintain your work and your study and your social life and everything in between.
So when you realized that continuing ed was going to be an option for you, that continuing ed courses are charged in addition to your main campus tuition. Did you end up having a conversation with your mother about that? I know that parents typically end up having to be a part of financial decisions.
No, absolutely.
So what did that look like?
When I talked to my mom about that, she said that, if I'm remembering correctly, she said it was totally fine and that she's been really supportive throughout my whole college journey and just making sure that I can get everything done in time and that I've been happy. That's her main concern, is that I'm getting the most joy out of my education and that I'm passionate about what I'm doing. So she's willing to support me however she can to make that happen. And we have had conversations about the finances behind it, and continuing ed, if I am correct, is cheaper than taking classes through main campus in the summer. So that also was beneficial for me.
So you're an amazing ambassador for CE. Thank you so much for being so. We take a lot of pride in the students that we serve and the student services we provide. Beyond it, but you really haven't really necessarily needed to use the continuing ed student services at all. Balancing all of these things, multiple jobs, multiple volunteer positions, beyond using continuing ed, what advice do you have for students for balancing all of the things that they would be interested in while at the same time trying to stay on track towards degree?
Absolutely. Keep a calendar. I have 3 calendars, one specifically for due dates, one specifically for homework, and then one for fun things to remind myself to take care of myself, and that self-care is important. I am one of those people that I have to have a written calendar. I have to write something down to remember it. So if that works for you, fantastic. If you need your electronic calendar, use that. But definitely learn how to organize your schedule, and using calendars will be so beneficial in being able to balance everything that you're involved in. I have all of my classes and homework in one color. Each class has a different color. So I can maintain what's what, and each club has a different color, so I know who I'm meeting for what. And that works for me, but figuring out what works for you in terms of organization will prove to help you be successful.
Mm-hmm. So, you strike me as someone who's a fairly confident individual, but I also get a sense that that hasn't always been the case. You're coming towards the end of your journey.
Yes.
And so there are times, I'm sure, where you've had a lot of anxiety about what the right next choice was going to be.
Absolutely.
Can you take us into some of those moments? Are there any particular memories that you have about that you could help others who might see themselves in your story,
Sure.
that would help them figure out how to navigate that?
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, coming to college was something I didn't want to do until I found CU. I had a really negative high school experience though, so I knew that staying close to home and being with the people who I went to high school with would not help me, it wouldn't serve me at all, it would just keep taking me down. But my professors here, coming back to college, in the psych stats class that I was in when I wasn't feeling confident about my coursework at all, being able to connect with my other professors and form relationships with them helped me see that I am capable of doing my coursework, and that even with one hiccup in one class that I don't feel great in, it's okay to keep going, and that it's not going to be the end of the world. Having my English advisor and my education advisor on my team as well, they've always been so supportive. Even though my English advisor was on maternity leave this past semester, I knew that I could still contact her and that anything that I did would be supported. The School of Education, all the professors there are phenomenal, and I know that they have my back no matter what, and I appreciate that more than they know. Being able to have them in my life and have had classes taught by them and recognize familiar faces around campus is so beneficial. Going to office hours has saved me. Definitely go to office hours if you're watching this as a prospective student, because making those personal relationships with your professors will really help you out even if you hit a bump in the road. I experienced a really rough time during my sophomore year of high school, and every year in February that same thing hits me a little bit hard. My best friend died when I was in high school. So being able, for me, to communicate that with my current professors in the spring semester to let them know, hey, I promise I'm still an active student, but here's what's going on in my personal life, and I just want you to know that I'm not checking out of class. I just want you to know if I'm having a rough time, that's why. And my professors are always appreciative that I am open with them and letting them know that, so that they know, well, this dedicated student isn't doing what she's supposed to be doing, what's going on here. So definitely being proactive rather than saying things retroactively is beneficial in that realm as well.
So you described it as building a team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you've built a team of people.
Absolutely.
Not just, it's advisors, but it's also faculty members, Administrators?
I don't have any administrators on my team, so to speak. I haven't had to communicate with anyone.
Sure.
I had to meet with the Dean of Arts and Sciences once as I started last fall taking 22 credits, but I ended up dropping my Hebrew class, unfortunately, because A.L. Rivlin is one of the best professors here. But I don't really have any higher up, so to speak, on my team because I haven't interacted with them. And I'm sure if I did, that I would form relationships with them just like I have with my advisors and my professors.
Yeah. Well, it's again a live session, so we have a question from the audience here that has come up from CUSD. Do you think you would have been as successful on your academic path without the assistance of continuing education?
Probably not. I probably wouldn't have been able to graduate in 4 years. I am graduating in May. I'm very excited about graduating. I'm very proud of myself for switching majors and adding a minor and dropping a minor and still having another minor and then doing my licensure program to be able to maintain that 4-year trajectory. I'm impressed with myself, not to brag or anything, but if I wasn't talking to my advisors and if I didn't have the help from my professors, I 1,000% would not have been that successful.
Yeah, well, we're proud of you too.
Thank you.
Your story is definitely one of those that I think we've taken a look at and gone, well, we can see ourselves in the story, and I think it's remarkable that you come to continuing education without like needing to. A lot of people think of continuing education as something that they can do if they've gotten in trouble.
Right.
You really are using it as a way of staying on track or even really getting ahead.
Yes.
Be able to do the things that you want to do.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a very interesting story. Are there any like things that you would just kind of put out there for people who find themselves in a situation where, you know, I know I want to do all of these things. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about getting there. I feel like I'm talking to my faculty members about it, and I'm talking to my advisor about it, but there's still so much work to do, and I'm feeling stressed out about that. Do you have any, beyond like making a calendar to help you stay on track, what kinds of strategies do you use to keep yourself kind of motivated and moving forward?
And definitely listen to yourself. If you're not feeling comfortable with something and one thing is a red flag, then you can definitely realize that's okay to cut out. You don't have to push yourself so hard if you're not comfortable with that. Maintaining what you're comfortable with and maintaining self-care is so important to be successful, not only in college, but in life in general. So reminding yourself to take time to do those things that bring you joy and make you happy. Like for me, reading a great book before I go to bed every night is one of those things that I do for myself to maintain a lower stress level. So finding those things that are helpful to your mental health are definitely beneficial aside from keeping a calendar, but listening to yourself, and if you realize this isn't the right choice for me right now, then it's not the right choice for you right now, and that's okay to realize. It's okay to have to do something again. It's okay to take a step back every now and then, and a lot of people don't like to admit that in this very overly competitive world. So I hope that in saying that, y'all can internalize that too, because it's something that I tell myself all the time to help myself become a better person and less stressed about all the pressures I put on myself.
Geordi, thank you so much for joining us today. Your story is just so wonderful, and I welcome having another conversation with you at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us today here on Facebook Live to have this discussion with Geordi Frankel about switching majors and balancing work and life with academic pursuits. If you have any questions about continuing education, its offerings, and you want to talk to an advisor here at Continuing Education, go to ce.colorado.edu, and there are plenty of places there to be able to engage with us. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks again, Geordi.
Thank you.
Take it easy.